Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Wire. Here we are again, talking about all things to do with service excellence success. All right? It's talking about accreditation, talking about maintaining accreditation, gaining accreditation. Doesn't matter where you are in the cycle. We're hoping to be chatting about things that are helpful for you wherever you are up to. So if you are watching the recording, good on you. Good on you for clicking on that and spending this little bit of time with myself and some other legends. Oh, look at the legends I've got in the room here today. My beautiful colleague Rachel is joining us here. Rachel's an assessor on our team looking after Victoria and Tasmania. So if you're watching from Victoria or Tasmania, Rachel's heading your way. And Samira is joining us here from Sydney, as is John. And hello, Lisa. Lisa's probably finishing off her lunch or something like that. And Lisa is joining us from beautiful Narrabri. So I'll take this moment now, and you can take this moment now if you would like to acknowledge the First Nations traditional custodians of the land that you are on. I am on the land of the Dunghutti people here in beautiful but soggy Barraville. And I would like to acknowledge their elders, the keepers of knowledge, and their deep connection to the land and waters here. And to also acknowledge the diversity of Aboriginal culture right across this beautiful country, wherever you are joining us from. And always, always, always to acknowledge all of the community sector legends who are here and how much you contribute to your communities. Big, important work. And a little part of that big, important work, in fact, just a tiny checkpoint, is accreditation, right? We always say here, never the destination. Accreditation is never the destination. It's just a checkpoint. And those of you who are here have chosen Highwire to be your checkers. Yeah, we're coming your way. And we're going to have a look at all of your systems and processes and documents and people and ways of working. And we're going to give you some feedback against the 100 indicators of success in that framework, which is the Australian Service Excellence Standards. Okay. So that's what it is. The topic today is, we were just talking before we pressed record about, this is called How to Engage the Team, the sequel. Right? How to engage the team too. Because when we first started getting on the wire, a little bit through necessity because we couldn't get about and see each other because it was in the times. In January 2021, we started here. So that's about 30 or 40 sessions ago. And the very first topic that we did was how to engage the team. So if you want to see me with a very different hairstyle, you can go and have a look at that earlier version. All right, the original, how to engage the team. This one's going to be slightly different. So don't worry that it's going to be duplicated. It's going to be building on. All right, how to engage the team 4 years later. Is it any different? Only the hairstyle. Pretty much only the hairstyle. It hasn't changed all that much since January 2021. So what I wanted to ask you was, if you wouldn't mind to share, is where you're up to. Where are you up to in the accreditation cycle, those friends that I have in the room? Where are you up to, Samira? Coming up soon? Are you midway? Where are you?
No, it's coming up, I think, in Feb next year.
Mm-hmm. So you are probably at the early stage of getting ready, putting the plan down and getting some of the players engaged. So this is great timing for Samira.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's preparing.
Yeah. Planning and preparing right now. Very good, Samira. Lisa, where are you up to?
Hey. Well, just yesterday, we confirmed that our assessor will be coming to visit us in July next year on the 22nd and the 23rd. So that sort of makes it real. So my next step is that I'm actually just reviewing now. I'm looking back at what improved, at the 100 points of evidence we put up last year, and you get the sort of the suggestions or improvements. So yeah, I'm just sort of starting to work through those.
Fantastic. Yes, well, that's a great idea because your assessor will ask you how you're going with those continuous quality improvement recommendations that your previous assessor made.
Yes.
And that's an indicator for us of, whether that culture of continuous improvement is embedded or whether it's just something that you quickly do every 3 years just before the assessor arrives. So there's the two approaches.
Yeah.
Very good. Oh, I'm glad that's rolling along, and I'm going to be visiting Lisa and the team next week on my way out west road trip.
Yep.
My way out west wet road trip. That's what I'm calling it now.
It's not that wet, and we'll look forward to seeing you.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So if I can get over these bridges here, I'll
You'll
be
be
on
right.
my way. And John, where are you up to?
Well, right at the very, very beginning. So
very good place to start.
That's right. That's right. So we're going to do it, and we're just working out now the detailed project plan, how to get everybody on board and start the journey. And we're not going to walk; we're going to run.
My goodness! All right.
I want it done tomorrow, not.
Oh, great. Well, we better talk about how to engage that team. That's great. This is going to be perfect timing for you as well. And Rach is not leading an organisation. She's on our team. So, Rach, I won't ask you where you're up to unless you would like to answer that question in some way.
I suppose with it's in this is on the other side is just how great it is to help you all. So that's what I, really love with this is that if you think of that as our role is we're here to help you keep doing the great work that you're doing. And rather than the old, headmaster with the big hard ruler on the other side, it's like, no, we're alongside you and taking the journey with you.
Yes, we love it, by the way. Can't you tell? We're still here talking about it. All right, let's talk about engaging the team. Now, why is this important? Let me just start with a couple of horror stories, right? Because these are somewhat fresh in our mind. Because when the team are not engaged, we get to meet the most downtrodden, stressed out, haggard, near death, near what's the word when you want to quit your job? They are ready to go. They're ready to jump kind of people when we rock up and they have not had the support of the team. And it is so very hard for those people. I want to tell you about a mistake a big organisation made recently. And this is the big organisation, so well-resourced, but first cycle, right? And so what did they do? They allocated the project lead, so this big important role to lead this accreditation, to a new junior. Now, I don't mean junior straight out of high school, but I'm talking about someone who's new to the organisation and sitting at around about sort of, team leader level. And it totally overwhelmed that person. They found it very hard, of course, to negotiate access to the answers to the questions. There's 100 questions, let's say, because there's 100 indicators. So they found it hard to get the answers to, have we got this? We haven't got this. Have we got this in place? Do we do this? Do we not? So they found it very hard because of their status and lack of power and authority in the organisation, that was triply hard when it came to trying to get actual evidence and documents, and quadruply hard when it came to try to get people to come to the table and be interviewed. Now, this didn't come to our attention really until a couple of weeks out from the assessment, because we found it hard to get the schedule back. We're like, come on, where's the schedule? We need to know who's going to be interviewed. And she just had to say, I haven't been able to get people to confirm. So that's the first sort of horror story that I want to share with you about the why. Why is it so important to engage the team? Is because it absolutely cannot be done on your own, right? Especially if you don't have the power and authority bestowed upon you by the top level leadership in the organisation, but especially if you don't have those top level people engaged. It just will not happen. Now, in that situation, what we should have done was cancel the assessment, and that would have had a financial impact on the organisation because they simply weren't prepared. But we decided to work with them and try to make it happen. But it required a lot of people at last minute in their organisation to jump about, which is really never good for service delivery, is it? Because, you don't like it to be like a big whack on the back of the head accreditation. You like it to be a slow burn, right? So that is a big horror story all around. And it wouldn't surprise me if that person just leaves that organisation. The other mistake, the other sort of nightmare around the engagement question is when people are not prepared, meaning they're not informed and they're not educated about what accreditation is and their role in it. And what we find there, this other nightmare story is, what we find there is people will come to the interviews and we'll be asking questions and they will not be able to answer them effectively. So you might think, I should be able to answer questions, that are about my job, but they're not just about your job, they're about how your job supports the quality system, right? So where we see people struggling to answer some of these questions, it just raises little concerns for us about, do people know about the systems? Are they engaged and involved in developing the systems, policies, procedures? Do they know what it says in the policy and procedure, or do they just know that they do it this way because other people do it this way? And so you can sometimes see people really tripping themselves up and getting it wrong in the interview. I want to say, and that's never a good thing. Like we might say, what steps do you take if this would happen? And they'll say, I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do this and I'll do that. And I'll be thinking, well, that's not what it says in your policy. So it's sort of, there's a question about whether that process is sort of systemised at all. So then it leads us down another trail. So I just feel for people who are involved in those interviews and they're just told to be there. A lot of people say, I was just told, show up. It's really not fair for them, is it? They're not given the best chance of success. They're not given the best chance to be able to support the process and the organisation. So there's just two things to support the why. Why is it important? You will kill yourself trying to bring an accreditation assessment about on your own. You will not be able to do it. And it might lead to a bit of a negative outcome for the accreditation as well. So there's many benefits to involvement. Let's now talk on the positive side of this ledger. Let's get off the horror story train. Let's talk about the benefits of engaging many people in the accreditation. Because this is going to somewhat become the language that you might be using around accreditation to motivate and engage. All right. What are the benefits? How do we sell it? How do you sell it? Let's go. Talk to me or type to me. You can type in the chat, of course, or you can unmute yourself. Forgive me. What do you think the benefits are of getting many people in your organisation involved?
Oh, look, I'm happy to say. So we're on a really big sort of journey of transformation of, turning this organisation into a very people-centred, continuous improvement. Let's all get on the same page. And we don't really have a framework. So this allows us to have a framework to drive forward a different culture that is about the community, that is about service delivery, about people, and that it's driven objectively through data.
Evidence-based. Excellent.
Just a little.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. So the messaging there is around aligning all of everything we do with a framework that helps us to sort of check and monitor how we're going with that. You've got 100-point sort of a checklist there for...
Can you say that again? Because that's really good.
Watch the recording back, John. Don't get me
I will.
repeating myself.
That's very good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, well, we do call it a framework for good practice. And sometimes the language that we use is, it's a framework for you to hang all of your strengths on, all of your good practice on. And when you hang all your good practice up there, you'll be able to see where you might have some, weaknesses, but we call them, opportunities for improvement. So it helps you to be able to sort of see it quite easily, or easier, let's say. 100-point checklist is never an easy thing to use, but, at least it's all there. Yes. Other benefits. Let's go, team. I know you've got lots to share. How do you talk it up, Lisa? How do you talk up the benefits of accreditation at NDCAS?
Well, I think it's a time for us to sort of sit back and look at what we do and what we've done in the past and how we could do things better in the future. And, when I look back on our first accreditation in 2023, I think we spent the first half of the year working towards getting ready for it. And then, the last few months of the year improving, in doing the remediation or the quality action plan and it was actually a very positive, like we're a better organisation today than we were 3 years ago. So I think we've just got the way I'm going to actually start at our next staff meeting and sort of, highlight the changes we've made or that we've implemented and then look forward, and then identify the areas that we're going to really focus in on and work and then, ask the staff what works and what doesn't and just go from there. But yeah, we view it crazily. We like it. It's a good, we really, we enjoyed the last, looking back. Yeah, it was a good experience for NDCAS. Yeah.
There you go. We are, we're mad about quality. You can join our team anytime, Lisa. We're mad about quality too. But not everybody feels the same. So it is that whole piece about communicating the benefits in your organisation, keeping it on the agenda. Because you can see the benefits because you have a view across all the systems. You can see how things have improved. But when people are sort of head down, up in the work, it can be harder to see that, and they just say, oh, not accreditation again. So selling that, it's a difficult sell, but if you can use the evidence again to show, yeah, that's exciting. And it's so nice to hear that, Lisa, that, you see accreditation as contributing to that in some way. So that's really great. And Samira, how would you sell the benefits of accreditation? You're a second cycle organisation too. You're coming up to your second cycle. How do you sell
I
it?
think for me, it's accountability. for everyone in their roles. I mention it quite often in our team meetings just to keep it fresh on everybody's, mind that we are going through accreditation next year. And I think as a team working together and making sure that we're all, completing everything that should be done, it just makes the process then when you're going through it so much more simpler and less stressful for everyone because, as a team, you're all working towards the same goals. And as I said, accountability for everybody in their roles. But it's basically just making sure that you're, dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's and documenting all the good work that you already do. And I think that's the way I sell them because everyone does amazing work, but it's about making sure that your, admin, your documentation reflects all that good stuff that you do.
Perfect. And, it's individual accountability for sure, but it's also accountability to your community and to your funder. And that's a really great way to frame it. That, most of us are funded organisations, and so accreditation gives us an opportunity to ensure that, we're doing the best for our community, we're doing the best for our staff, we're doing the best for our funder as well, right? Because they're all trust relationships. So, it actually means a lot to the funder for you to be accredited, obviously, because it's written into most of your funding agreements. But, what we understand is the purpose of accreditation for the funder is about managing risk. All right? So for them, they want to be able to have some confidence that their funded organisations are high quality organisations, getting the outcomes that they've promised in their funding agreement and, all the things that the government would want to be able to tick to say, yes, we're funding an excellent organisation. So, and we feel that when we come in because, certainly our judgments have been called into question in the past by the funder. Not often, but when it happens, it's a very scary thing because we have to make sure that we have enough evidence to stand beside our judgment really strongly. Because a funder might say, well, I happen to know that organisation does not do X because I've seen their da-di-da-di-da. How come that assessor has gone in there and ticked that as a yes? So it's like, so there's no backpedaling on that. We have to be able to show that we have, and this fancy pants word, write this down, we will be doing our best to triangulate this evidence. And that means we want to triangulate 3 ways we want to know that it is in place. And so we want to see documents and we want to talk to people. And we want to see things. We start looking as soon as we get out of the car. We do not turn ourselves off until we get back in the car. And even then, sometimes not. We'll talk about it all night, won't we, Rach? Over dinner. So we are on and we are taking everything in. Everything we see, everything we hear is evidence. So, I want to say that when we get a good load of people to talk to, it just makes that process for you and for us so much easier. So I just want to say there's many, many reasons why to engage the team. Thank you for sharing that, my cast of legends here today. So my next question is, what would motivate you to participate? I want you to imagine that you are a busy, busy bee in a busy, busy organisation. I know you are, but some of you're up here with a lot of, power and influence and, but I want you to imagine you're one of the people that you're trying to engage. And they're busy. And they're client-facing maybe, right? And you want them to help you to do the self-assessment and gather the evidence and be part of the interviews. What would motivate you to engage if you were that person? What would do it for you? It's okay to say nothing. But what would it be that would get you to go, oh, yeah, I want to be part of that?
I think it's an opportunity for the individual to demonstrate and show, or basically beat their chest of all the good stuff they're doing.
Yes, that's a good one. What else? What else would get you to get involved?
Well, I've got it. I would say that this organisation is only as strong as the people that work in it. The people here are the organisation, and we're going to go through accreditation. But what we're going to do, we're going to actually look at our practices, and we want you to tell us how we could be doing things better. That's simple. That's all I've got to say.
Great. That's great. We need your voice. I can't do it on my own. We need your voice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Excellent. And people get excited by being able to tell their story. When you frame it like that, this is us telling our story of what we do fantastically well and how we've been improving over the last 3 years. We get to tell that story. People who are really listening, right? So that can be exciting for some people. So avoid the word interview. We're just telling our story. What about you, Samira? What's your thought about what would motivate people to engage?
I mean, for us to continue to be accredited means recommissioning. So obviously, if we don't get that re-accreditation, then potentially we could lose the program. And it's such a beautiful program. So I think just, we don't want to lose the program.
Yes.
So why wouldn't you want to be involved?
Great. Great. Right. That's the sort of talking about the urgency of it, like how very important it is, right? No accreditation, no money.
Exactly. And I think that's, one of the most fundamental. Obviously, Marist has a few different programs, but SHS is a very special program. And I think the work that's done there is, there's amazing work that's done there with the young people.
Yes.
And, anyone that works in this sector and that, it's like, why wouldn't you want to be a part of, being able to continue this program and the good works that we're able to do and support the young people that we are able to support?
Love that. Well done. And other things that people might be motivated by, I'm not saying everyone, we're all very different. I have seen some managers have this as part of their KPIs. All right. So sometimes people are motivated by achieving those KPIs because they're kind of must do. Another thing that people can be motivated by is the opportunity for learning. Like I personally, if I could put it on my resume, like if it's going to make me look super good, I'm motivated by that. I am very motivated by learning new things. So if I can learn a bit more about the organisation, than some other people, that excites me. So some people are motivated by that as well. Mm-hmm. So some people are motivated by opportunities to lead. So their status gets elevated a little bit when they can lead improvement projects, right? So we're talking to that sort of, what motivates my people? And that's a bit of, human motivation theory 101, isn't it? Because if you want people to go from here to here where they're not engaged to where they are engaged, you've got to find out what's going to motivate them. So it'll be different for every person. So have a, 5-pronged approach. All right. So what would motivate you to participate? Thank you, team. So thinking about what would motivate me to participate and then get all that down. Next question is, this is a famous quote. If anybody can unmute themselves quickly and say, I know who said that. I'm looking for who said this. All the world's a stage and the men and women merely players. Who said it? All the world's a stage and the men and women merely players. What if I said it like this? All the worldy ye be a stage, and ye men and women. Yeah, now have you got it? It was Shakespeare, of course. I hear all you people at home going, hey, Shakespeare, all the world's a stage, and the men and women merely players. Now, when I think about accreditation, I think about it as being a great big production. Okay? And I think about all of the different roles, the cast and crew. All right. And the objective is we're going to put on a very, very fabulous production. All right. Not to talk about the fakery of anything, because accreditation is serious, but I'm just talking about the sort of thinking about it as a project and all of the roles that people could play. So many roles, right? Some of them are leading roles and some of them are, the supporting roles. And some of them the ensemble, they might not even be on stage, but they're doing it. So there's a cast and crew and there's many, many players. So everybody can have a role here in bringing about this amazing production, which is accreditation success, right? Well, that's what it's called. So I'm going to go through all of the touch points in the accreditation process where people could have a role. Ready? So I have got, close by always big pieces of paper that I like to scribble on. Maybe you can have a big piece of paper that you want to scribble on as well. And we'll go through some of the roles. The very, very first sort of a step before you even have a contract with us is the project plan. Right. Now, we're helpful people, so we have a project planning template that we can give you that you can play with. But someone should take the role of putting the project plan together because there are many steps. And it's good to be able to have a view of this right from the very start. So I would say you don't ever do a project plan on your own. It's a sort of thing that takes collaboration. So get a few people around a table, put on some healthy choice food and develop a project plan. All right. So these don't have to be the main players. And this can be some of the crew that get involved in.
Where can we get that template from?
As soon as I send you out this recording, it'll be in the folder with the resources because I'm going to share it with you. It can be daunting as a project plan because there are so many steps. But what we've helpfully done is not left anything out. So there you go. You can delete the first half if you're already through it. You can just go tick, 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 tick. We've done all that. All right. So that's there for you. So a project plan, get a few people around, get the project plan in place. Get a sense of the whole gig. The next step is the contract with us. So you're engaging your assessor, we'll call it that, engaging the assessor or signing the contract. Now, the person who's going to be engaged in doing that probably is the head of organisation or their delegate. All right, so they'll have to be engaged there. They'll need to know what it's all about, obviously, to be able to sign off on it. So your little briefing to that person about what we're doing and this is what the service agreement's about and that's the money that we're going to be paying out. So make sure you're briefing them so that they can sign the contract. The next thing we're going to be doing, most organisations would start now on the self-assessment. And there are many roles here for the people. So at this stage, you want to be allocating the person who's going to be called the accreditation contact. They are the main contact for us right from here all the way through to the end, unless we are told differently. So who's that person? The best person to be the accreditation contact is not necessarily the project lead, but close to, that sort of status, okay? So they'll either be the project leader, so, coordinating all the players. So they're like the director, okay, in the play. They are like they're the director, at least the choreographer, if not the director, right? So they are important, and they could be the person to drive the project plan as well. But it doesn't have to be, it can be driven by a project team. But we need one accreditation contact. Now, the self-assessment involves many people. The self-assessment is usually best done by the person in the organisation who has the most knowledge of all of the systems. Okay, so you can, very often, this will be allocated to an administrative person in the back of the office, and that is wrong. That will take that person so long to go and find all the knowledge. So it should be someone who's got the knowledge. Okay? And the self-assessment will involve either you'll be working in your BNG portal or you'll be working in your Service Excellence workbook. Doesn't matter. You'll be working in some place that shows you all those 100 requirements, and you'll be going through going, yep, we do that. That's how we do it. Yep, we do this. This is how we do it. Yep, we do this. This is how we do it. So there's a very systematic process there. Okay, so someone will take the lead for doing the self-assessment, and they might involve many people. So when they get to the finance standard, for example, pretty obvious we're going to be involving the finance lead there. When we get to the HR standard, pretty obvious we're going to be involving the HR lead there. Right, that might be the same person depending on the size of your organisation. I'm just saying that as we go down the standards, we find that the answers to the questions and the way we do that around here will be answered by many people. So the way that this sometimes works in organisations is we give those many people access to the portal and we say, hey, we're allocating you this standard. You go in there, answer the question and type in the way that we meet that requirement. Okay? So you can give whatever tool you're using, you can give many people access as long as you're kind of directing them in the project plan. So many people should help with that self-assessment. That'll give them good knowledge of the indicators and good knowledge of the systems, and they'll be very, very well-versed by the time they get to be interviewed, won't they? They'll be going, oh, I know what this is about. So that's helpful. Once the self-assessment's done, you've got a pretty good idea of where all your strengths are and where you've got some improvements to make. So the next stage here, I'm calling it, is making improvements. Now, this is generally the longest part of the preparation for obvious reasons, because it can take a fair while to implement improvements, especially if you do your self-assessment and find that half your policies and procedures are out of date. What? Okay, wow, all right. And all your policy and procedures need to go through your management committee or your board. Oh, okay, right. That's going to take 12 months. So doing a self-assessment nice and early and leaving as much time as you can for this part of it, which is called the making the improvements. All right, so your self-assessment, if you're using the BNG portal, will generate a work plan as you go. And if you're using the BNG portal, you can even type in the name of the people who are going to be doing said improvements, which is a really great thing to be able to just print out at the end of that process. If you're using the workbook, you might need to develop a bit of a improvement plan. Okay, so it's, oh, we've got to update that policy. Oh, we've got to get our hands on the new such and so procedure. We've got to, create this document because we don't have one. So those sorts of tasks would end up on an improvement plan. Now, whether you've got your BNG work plan or you've got your improvement plan that you made, there's going to be many tasks allocated to many different people. Now, this is where many people get to come in and lead improvement projects, that are either part of their skills and experience, their capability, or they're very excited to lead a project like that. They want to have a crack. All right, so there's your cast and crew, your supporting cast. They're going to be doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Now, if you've got 10 people in your organisation and everybody says, I will lead one project, you can see how you could really make this efficient. As long as you have the mechanism for everybody to come together and say, this is my progress, this is how I'm going, ticking off the improvement plan, right? You need that mechanism to enable people, to free up, to remove barriers and, give them answers and give them support and free them up to keep going. So those mechanisms are really important if you're going to have many people leading those little projects. Okay, so you might say, oh, I don't have time for everyone to be checking in with me. So do it by committee. Have a accreditation committee or a CQR committee or whatever you want to call it for that period. Making improvements, ticking on off as we go. The next touch point is called evidence gathering. Oh, now we've said we meet this requirement. And now we need to make sure that all of our evidence is in the place where it needs to be. So some people do this as they go through the self-assessment. I want to say that sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? Let's organise the evidence as we go through the self-assessment. That'll save time. Caution. Caution. Don't do anything that holds up that self-assessment, because that self-assessment generates the work plan, which generates what we have to do to get ready. So I say do your self-assessment as quickly as you can. Type in some of the evidence that you want to put up, but wait until closer to the assessment to put your evidence together. Because remember, you're making improvements. And it's a bit like renovating a house. You might fix policy over here and then you think, oh, now we have to update 2 other policies. Oh, we've already uploaded them. Yeah. Just don't upload things until you've pretty much finished your improvement plan, as a tip, all right? You think you might do it all at the time? No, just evidence gathering and make it a separate thing, okay? So this can be done by a few different people. This can be done by people who've been involved in the self-assessment, or this can be done by people who are across this area. So finance evidence can be put up by finance people. HR evidence can be put up by HR people. So, where you can delegate, that's much easier for you. I'm speaking to you as this sort of accreditation lead, okay? So getting many people to help to put the evidence up. So allocating those standards to different people nice and early, letting them know you're in charge of that. I'll support you, I'll show you how to do it, but you're going to be getting all that ready. Okay? So that's important to delegate standards to different people. All right, so the evidence is all got to end up in one place, and it's got to end up in an organised way, preferably at the indicator level. I know I'm saying, is that 100 folders, Marie? Yeah, in most cases it's 100 folders. However, if you're using the BNG portal, it's a lot easier because you can quickly link evidence across to each of the indicators. Whereas if you're working in your SharePoint, you'll have to pull evidence into different folders, right? So, I mean, you'll get quick at all of that, but I'm just saying it can be a big part of the project. It can take a bit of time to get it all in one place and get it organised. Okay, so we know the rule of thumb is how many pieces of evidence per indicator. People always ask. People who've been watching this channel for a long time know exactly the answer to that. As a rule of thumb, per indicator. Remember, we're trying to triangulate things. So don't just say, oh, we'll tell you about this on site, because I'll say, oh, we really do need some sort of proof that it's happening. All right? Not that I don't believe what you're saying, but it's got to be backed up. It's got to be triangulated. So in some cases, it will only be one, because it'll say, do you have a this? Do you have a code of conduct? That's a great example. Have you got a code of conduct? All I want to see is the code of conduct. So don't think, oh, I've got to put 2 more pieces up. You don't. If you can explain it in one document, that's fantastic. And there is an indicator that says there is a code of conduct in place that describes the acceptable behaviour of the staff. If you don't have a code of conduct, you'll have something else that tells them what the expected behaviours are. So the evidence gathering, the next touch point is we do have lots and lots of webinars on the very best evidence. So if you've got more questions about that, I can direct you to some other great shows. All right. Planning the schedule. Planning the schedule. We have to do this about 10 weeks out because we want to give people lots of notice. So we'll be sending you a draft schedule nice and early, and we'll be asking you to, in your director role, is to make it work for all of your people. Now, when we're planning the schedule, there's a few different players to be considered here. So there's obviously the interviewees. We'll get them into the schedule. There will be some external people that you'll need to coordinate as well. So engaging the people is sometimes engaging external people. So we'll need to engage some community partners. These are people that you play really well with and you're getting great outcomes with. They're very important partners and we would love to talk to them. So we want you to prepare them. Don't just say this person's going to call you. They'll be like, what's it about? So we're going to give you the questions to give them that we're going to be asking them so that they can prepare. And we're going to ask you to allocate them a time because they are usually busy people and we want to be respectful of their time in this process, okay? So we're going to ask you to give them a time. We're going to ask you to tell them what it's all about. And we'll give you the questions to send them because they might ask, what are they going to ask me? So you'll just say, yeah, that's what they're going to ask you. Clients, consumers, participants are very important in this show. And so very important, I want to say that they are the most important really in this assessment. Their voice is most important. And we want them to feel empowered to participate. So Rach and I have worked really hard on getting a lovely list of questions together that are person-centered and trauma-informed ways of asking these questions. And so we'll give you those questions to give to the clients that we want to that you will choose for us to speak to. Usually 4 or 5 is a good number. And we will also give you a letter that explains the process and the confidentiality around it that we developed with another organisation that we can share with you. So I'm going to put that in the resources as well. All right, because that can make engagement easier. Rachel recently took it to the next level. Rachel, do you want to tell the viewers what you did with that money mob when you were connecting with their clients? I'm talking about this.
Yeah, it was that was a really interesting process because we were working with remote communities where the organization uses a lot of translators and so the language barrier was huge. So not only did I have to, as I was on, and it was via phone as well, because they were in, remote Australia. And so not only had we really changed our questions, but then on the fly, in talking to people, I was like, oh, wow, okay, I have to peel it back again. And in realizing after a couple of them that it was like, then I was sending out messages saying, oh, I'm going to give you a call. But in terms of connecting, I just thought, oh, here I am, some random person. I don't know how this has been communicated or how much they understand. So I sent a photo along with my, hi, I'm Rachel, going to call just about Money Mob, but was like, hi, and sent them a photo of this so that element of just connecting and say, I'm a human, here I am, can I build some I suppose, confidence or connection with people and feeling like, oh, that's who I'm going to be talking to. I'm not just some text message or an authority figure or anything like that. So I just wanted to share that warmth and connection, if I could, just to break down a barrier there.
And it means that people pick up the phone, because a lot of the client interviews that we do over the phone. We're very happy to do them face to face, of course. But where that is challenging for the client to get to us, we always do it over the phone. We can also do it on Teams or Zoom, and people can have a support person with them. That's not a challenge at all. But we want to do everything we can to help them to feel comfortable to engage with the process, because it is such an important voice. I wouldn't be able to finish an assessment if we hadn't been able to speak to clients. It's just so much a part of the integrity of the process. So let's do everything we can to engage those VIPs in the process. We've never had anybody say that it wasn't okay for them. We've never had anybody say that they felt uncomfortable to do it. So we do get amazing feedback about organisations when we are able to talk with clients in a relaxed way. So if we are meeting clients face to face, we do like to have it over an afternoon tea, morning tea, lunch. We like to honour their time. When I was doing an assessment recently, I was tapped on the shoulder by the people I just finished interviewing saying, when are we getting paid for this? So I had to say, lunch is payment, and you please, take all that food home there for your families. But there won't be any money today. So it's like, it's not cash for comments. Sorry. But there was this an expectation that this sort of nappy way of working, two ways of working, means I'll give you something, you give me something. It's very common in some of the work we do in communities. So we don't give anything ourselves, but you could put lunch on, or you could provide transport, or, just make sure people don't have any out-of-pocket expenses that would make it difficult for them to participate. So, they generally go really well, those interviews, but we have got some resources to help you to set that up. Okay, so including now, I'm going to be sending a photo saying, hi, this is me, and I'm going to be calling you at this time. Please don't screen me out. Please don't screen me out, that kind of thing, okay? So that is planning the schedule. Now we're on site. We are on site. Lots of roles here being interviewed. Hopefully people put their hands up, but if they don't, decide who's going to be interviewed. You make all these choices, by the way. We don't come and say 2 of them and 3 of them. You make the choices about who sits in front of us. We have a draft schedule that says these are the sort of roles that we like to get across in the interviews. So you choose the people who fit those roles, including clients. So there's coordination on site role. So coordinating, making sure the assessors are feeling very comfortable, and it's an easy time for the assessors, because, we've got a lot going on here. And we don't want to have to be thinking about, we've got half an hour to get to the place where we have to get our lunch. No, it needs to just be there or next door. So there's a catering role for someone there. The catering role. And there's also roles for teams if they want to do presentations. Most times teams are doing amazing things to improve the systems and the outcomes with the community, with their clients. And we want to see that. So we love to see presentations from teams. So not just being interviewed, if that would freak someone out, to be interviewed, ask them how they feel about telling us about that project or that improvement. All right, so there's some roles there for, like, the ensemble. Oh, there's the ensemble role. Make a presentation to the assessors about that amazing thing you did. There's also a role for IT. So have your IT support handy, please, because more and more we are using technology to complete our assessments in amazing ways and inviting people to dial in from wherever they are, and we want that to go smoothly. So we sometimes need some IT support around that. Okay. Those sorts of roles there. Then post, if you have gaps, you might have a quality action plan. There again are some opportunities for some little project teams to get involved in meeting those essential requirements if you do have any gaps. If you don't have gaps, what you will have, this is a definite, you will have lots and lots of continuous quality improvement recommendations from your assessor. So you'll get anywhere between, well, I'm thinking about my team, and there's an assessor on my team. She generally, does about 10 to 12. And then there's Rach and I at the other end. We sometimes do around 20 to 25. So because we can see it and we get excited about sharing that perspective with you. So there will be, over the next 3 years, plenty of opportunities for people to be involved in projects. Right? You can have a team of project managers by the end of this if you play it well. Don't you think? Yes, you'll be developing lots of skills as you go. Yes. So, top tips, and then I'll tell you the resources I'm going to be putting into the folder for you. Top tips, things I've seen that really, really work, is where it is a standing item on the agenda, right? So we're always talking about accreditation. Set up a Teams channel, right? Set up a Teams conversation about accreditation. Post some questions, get people involved in saying this is how we do it. Make it visual. I like to say people like to see how we're tracking. All right, so it's very motivating if people can see progress, isn't it? Yes. And this many people are working on improvement projects. That's motivating. Why am I one of those people? I better put my hand up. Okay. And you can make it fun. Like, I know it's only the people in the room here who think accreditation is fun. All right, freaks of the week we are. But you can make it fun if you gamify it. You know what I mean by that, don't you? Like, put some incentives in there. Put some things in there that people could win or people could compete for, or, here's our next completed project. Look, let's all do a shout out for this. Just ways of making it fun for people, right? We're adults. We don't pay attention to boring things, right? That doesn't feature for us if it's boring. But if you can make it a bit of fun, celebrate the success, make it really positive, that can help a lot. And identify your champions early, right? Go and have a look at the law of diffusion of innovations, right? Just go and look that up and have a look at who are my innovators and early adopters in the organisation. Who are my innovators and who are my early adopters? Because they're the ones you have to get. If you get them, others will follow. So go and have a look at the law of diffusion of innovations. I like Simon Sinek's version, so go and have a look at that if you want to. And see where your champions are. All right? Because sometimes you need to get those people doing it first before everyone else will go, oh, okay, looks good. Okay. The resources that we've got for you are, we've taken the whole of the standards and we've divided it into people. And we have created a self-assessment checklist by role. All right, so if you're finding the whole 100 a bit overwhelming, you're going to have 5 self-assessment checklists. One you can give the staff, one you can give finance, HR, CEO, all those people. So they can have a look at their own kind of area of responsibility and accountability, and they can get engaged that way. So I'm going to send you those. We're going to make sure everybody's got the project plan, Remember, you don't have to follow all of that. You can use it to create your own. But it does have all the steps in it. So we're going to give you that. We're going to give you the questions, because sometimes people are freaked out. What's it about? What am I going to be asked? And so the questions help to allay people or give them a chance to develop their script if they want to. The men and women, merely players, remember? All right. So we're going to give you those. We're going to make sure that you've got access to the previous webinar, because it's just as good as this one. The original is just as good as the sequel, if not better. And what else? I think that's a pretty good list of resources for you. Yeah. Any questions? Any contributions? Let's stick here for another couple of minutes in case you want to yarn. Otherwise, you can wave and go. But I'll keep recording just for a minute in case anyone's got a very good question. We're done, everyone. All right. Everybody wave, because it looks so good. Everybody wave.
Thank you.